Always roar! Going up! What do we do? Shenanigans!
Hey folks, Dave here, and welcome back to the Backyard Battlefield. This is my series all about real-world firearms, and yes, it has been a long time since the last episode. I am very excited to bring you guys a special edition kind of episode though. This is not about my firearms, but actually about some really interesting historical firearms. Last year, I had the opportunity to travel to a Civil War reenactment in South Carolina. This reenactment reenacts part of the Battle of Rivers Bridge, specifically the battle for Broxton Bridge at the Broxton Plantation in South Carolina. Preceding this battle, General William T. Sherman's Union armies marched north across South Carolina, and roughly 1,200 Confederates under Major General Lafayette McLaws posted at a crossing on the Salkehatchie River. It was at this battle that Confederate forces attempted to halt Sherman's advance towards the capital in South Carolina, and despite being outnumbered, they came pretty close to succeeding. However, Sherman marched his troops through the swampland and flanked the Confederate positions and eventually won the pitched battle. Each year, a dedicated group of reenactors reenacts this battle at the plantation where it took place, and you can actually go and visit the swamps where Sherman's troops made their flanking maneuver. Now, if you guys have been subscribed to me for any length of time, you know that I'm a big fan of Empire Total War and Napoleon Total War, the age of cannons and muskets and giant majestic ships of the line. But when we come to the Civil War, further on in the timeline, in the 1860s, we have what is essentially a revolution in firearms technology. Whereas traditional line infantry have to slowly and methodically reload their inaccurate muskets, repeating rifles using self-contained cartridges can allow a single soldier to hold off a much larger force on his own, being able to reload from cover and reload much faster and be much more accurate with his firearm. So for this video, we're going to move past the American Revolutionary period, move past Napoleon's wars in Europe, and take a closer look at a couple of these really famous weapons from the Civil War. Now, we had a couple of really awesome guys at the reenactment that broke down their weapons for us. These are real weapons that are loaded with blanks for the effects of the reenactment. The two weapons that John and Will, who are cavalry reenactors, are sharing with us today are the Sharps rifle and the Henry repeating rifle.
This is actually this is the '63 Sharps military carbine, and it's well, made by the Sharps manufacturing company. The original for this gun was done in 1859, and it had a patch box and a few extras. That had a Lawrence pellet primer system that actually every time you cocked it, it rolled a new cap on the top. It didn't work very well, so they got rid of it by 1863. Mm-hmm. And this is actually a lever action breech loader. Did you ever see the movie Quigley Down Under?
I haven't, no.
Well, he had a 4570 version of this.
Okay.
But this is the paper cutter, we call it. And what happens is, I've already loaded this one, but I'll drop it down. I don't know if you can see. I loaded a paper cartridge into the back of this weapon, and it's considered a falling block. And as I push the block up, it cuts the back of the cartridge off.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And exposes the powder. Then you place a primer. This is a Cavalry model, and the reason it does that is easier to load and quicker to load. And as far as cavalry, when they dismount to fight on foot, they can get behind cover and load from the ground. If you try to load one of these barrel punchers from the ground, you kind of got to lean up, and that makes you a real good target. Mm-hmm. But with this one, with this one, I can go. Hang on a second, I'll show you. They would basically be loaded with a paper cartridge, but on this end, there would be a ball.
Yeah.
There would be a projectile. These are blanks. So, make sure that one's completely empty. So you would, and from a prone position or even say laying down, instead of having to lean up to ram the round down, I can stay behind an object, load my rifle. Give me a cap. Sorry, I don't have my stuff on. Sorry. I can load my gun from behind cover, just like that, take aim and fire without ever having to stand up.
Wow.
But with an infantry rifle, you know, or even with one of these short down carbines, you're not gonna be able to reach out laying down. So I can stay behind cover with the sharps.
Now, why wouldn't they equip everyone with those? Is it fair?
Because this was a cavalry and they were much more costly.
Much more costly.
Costly. So, yeah.
I like it though. That's a lot more efficient than any Civil War rifles I was aware of.
They actually have another one too. Hold this. And I don't know of any, you know, cavalry brigades that were actually issued these. Some federal divisions were issued the Henry. This is the 1860 Henry, and it fired contained brass rounds. You would load down the tube. If you give me a second, I'll load a few and show you how it shoots.
Oh, great. For sure.
It was known as the weapon you could load on Sunday and shoot all week.
Fire in the hole!
These are just blank rounds for out here, but they look kind of real. You would load 15 of them down the barrel, or I mean down the magazine tube, like this. And imagine there's 15 rounds in there. And if you want to look, the chamber's around like that. And in order to fire it, well, I'll turn around this way. Pretty simple.
Very nice.
Now imagine if you had an entire company with these, with 15 rounds, against people on the other side shooting single shot infield rifles.
My dad's got the Henry Golden Boy. It's like a replica of this, but
22?
it's 22. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's similar. It has the 4 end. This is 60 and this is in 44.
I think it's just supposed to really be a homage to that more
Yeah,
than.
it
But
is,
yeah, it's
really.
it's a great little gun.
This
And you're
is
right.
the,
You load it up, you get bored by the time you run out of bullets.
You get totally bored. But the thing is imagine an entire company. A company with these could stand off a brigade. A company of men, 30 men with a Henry rifle could stand off a brigade.
That's amazing. And then these never went into wide circulation. Was it because
They were too expensive.
too expensive?
Not that they didn't want. There are some stories, and I've read them, and I can't quote you, but there are some stories of some Southern men, some Southern divisions picking some of these up off a battlefield. They would shoot them until they ran out of the ammunition that was with that one Union soldier, and then they would break it around a tree so that the Yankees couldn't get it back and use it against them again.
Okay.
So they would use it until they ran out of ammunition, because the South didn't make any ammunition for them, unless you could pick more up.
Right.
But unless you could, unless you had it, that was it.
Now, how much would like a replica, or how much would one of these go for?
Now,
Yes.
this gun right here goes it's about $13.50.
Okay.
This one's been well used, as you can see.
Now, is that an original or a replica?
No, this is a replica. This is a this was made by Navy Arms. Actually, it's the A.U. Berti company, made in Italy, but it's imported by Navy Arms. As you can see, you can load 15, actually 16. You can put one in the chamber and then load one more. So you can put 16 rounds in this and fire them as fast as you can chuck it.
As a firearms hobbyist and someone who has a great deal of interest in history, I can't help but wonder what might have changed the course of the war if perhaps the South had a larger manufacturing capacity and was able to produce some of these more powerful and more advanced weapons during the war. It's not hard to imagine some very different battle results if Southern forces had had access to more of these weapons. But of course, in reality, the South's manufacturing capability was very weak compared to the North, and with the Northern blockade of Southern ports, they couldn't even import large amounts of arms and supplies, so their ability to actually make use of these modern and advanced weapons was very, very small. I hope you guys have enjoyed this bit of time traveling back to the Civil War to look at some really, really interesting advances in firearms technology and some of these classic weapons. I am hoping to produce more of these backyard battlefield videos over the course of this year, and I look forward to seeing you guys then. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.